Okay, so we're fixing to take our 4th unit test, and it's over operations with integers. You need to make sure that you are studying your comp book, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with integers. It's actually a very, very easy test. You should do well on it. There is no reason for you to not. So Mr. Ashmore is going to do part of the review for you. So here we go. I don't know why it has that.
Okay, so unit vocabulary review. Which clue word means which operation? Product means multiply.
And if you don't know these words, it is 100% time for you to learn them. We have a code words page in our comp book that you can always go back and learn, but you should know these words.
Sum means add. Difference is subtract. Quotient means divide.
Okay, they might show you multiply a couple of different ways. You know that multiply could be shown just by using the little x, like 3 times 5 with the x, or 3 parentheses 5. Or there's one more that they like to use, and that's the little dot, which you already know that because we've done that before. So make sure that you know that multiplication can be expressed 3 different ways. And same thing with divide. They might actually use the divide symbol, like 15 divided by 5. Or they might write it like a fraction, like 15 over 5, which you know that this little line right here means to divide. These words are all words that you should know by now. If you don't, take a little time, really learn them, okay?
Okay, Caitlin is hiking in the Palo Duro State Park looking for arrowheads along the canyon walls. She first walks down 44 feet below the cliff line. Then she walks down another 14 feet. She turns around, walks up 28 feet, and back down another 8 feet, where she finds an arrowhead. How far from the cliff line did Caitlin find her arrowhead? So look for your clue words. Down, down, up, and down. So let's start. If she walked down 44 feet, you're starting with negative 44. Then she walks down another 14 feet. 14. Turns around, walks up 28. Up's going to be positive. And then down another 8 feet.
28.
28, sorry.
Okay, so right here, she went down 44, then she went down 14 again, so you want to add a negative. If you hadn't added a negative and just done a subtraction, that would have perfectly been fine too. You just would have had to maybe go back and keep it, change it, okay? So I always just add the negative, okay? And then she turned around and walked up. Walking back up would be positive, so you're just adding like you've normally added. And then she walked down another 8 feet. So you could have just put -8, but I prefer to say plus a negative. So that's what we've done. So what you need to do now is you just need to combine your negatives.
$58 plus 28 plus -8.
Okay, so right here, this would be -58 because he did 44 plus 14 negative. Same sign, add. Same sign, keep the sign. Then we have this positive 28, but we still have this -8 over here. So what you want to do there, you still want to combine your negatives. So if it's me, I would circle my negative 58 and my negative 8. Same sign, add. So 58 plus 8 is 66 negatives, because my signs are the same, plus 28. Okay, so this is a negative and this is a positive. So that means that our signs are different. Same sign add, different sign subtract. So my signs are different, so I'm going to have to come over here and do 66 minus 28. And I know it seems kind of confusing that you're subtracting because you're like, right here, this says a plus sign. Well, you're right, but if you think back to your integer rules, same sign add, different sign subtract. Did I have more positives or more negatives? More negatives, so that means that she found an arrowhead at negative 38 feet below the cliff line. Got it? Number 3.
Okay. Drew used integer symbols to solve a problem. What is the equation he modeled? The thing that we're going to do is we're going to circle where we have the same.
Those are called zero pairs. And remember, zero pairs, you take a positive and a negative and you throw them away, right? So how many positives did we start out with?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13 positives, so I have 13 plus a negative. I like to always add a negative because when you're adding a negative, well, if you just put subtract however many negatives you have, you're going to have to keep it, change it anyway. So I just start off by adding a negative. Counted those, and we had
Negative 8.
So
What do you have left?
now, if you hadn't have had the model and you just would have had 13 plus negative 8, couldn't you have just done same sign add, different sign subtract? What is 13 minus 8? 5. What did you have more of? Positive, so you have positive 5. Now, this right here where Mr. Ashmore has circled the positive and the negative, this is a zero pair. Remember, zero pairs, you take a positive and a negative and they cancel each other out. You can always do this and they cancel each other out. They go away. Well, what was left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives. Isn't that what we got? So if you have a model and you want to use the model, absolutely use it. If that confuses you and you would rather just work the equation, write the equation, work the equation. Either way, it doesn't matter as long as you remember that a positive and a negative come together, cancel each other out, and that's called a zero pair. That is something that you need to know, okay? Okay, this one right here says, which of the following statements is true about the absolute value of negative 12? And I know you're wondering, Ms. Gentry, we already did absolute value. We did that in the first 6 weeks. Well, for some reason, they're spiraling this through. So what I would do is I would take my composition book and I would go to my absolute value page. And here it is right here. And it says absolute value of an integer, which is totally what we've been studying, is its distance from 0 on a number line. These two lines right here are the symbol used for absolute value of an unknown integer satisfies its given condition, whatever. Okay, right here. Remember we had to watch out to see if the negative sign was inside, was inside trapped or not trapped. Well, on your test it's trapped. One thing we talked about too is that there is no such thing as negative distance, right? Distance isn't negative. You've never heard somebody say, oh, I live negative 3 miles from school. We talked about that. There's no such thing as a negative distance. Okay, so let's read the question. Which of the following statements is true about the absolute value of negative 12? So absolute value, this line right here and this line right here, tells you that you are looking for the absolute value. You know the absolute value is distance from 0. How far is negative 12 on a number line from 0? 12. It's not negative 12. There's no such thing as negative distance. It's just 12. So now we have to read these super confusing answer choices, and they're just super confusing because there's a lot of stuff going on about it. So if we just break it down piece by piece, it'll be easier. Okay, right here it says the absolute value of negative 12 represents the distance from negative 12 to 0 on a number line. So what is the absolute value of negative 12? 12. How far is negative 12 to 0 on a number line? 12. Okay, so right now I'm thinking, hey, that's not a terrible answer choice, so I'm going to put a little dot. Let's do the next one. The absolute value of negative 12 represents the negative distance from 12 to 0 on a number line. Is there a such thing as negative distance? No, you've never heard of a negative mile. So that cannot be our answer choice. The absolute value of negative 12 represents a negative number. What is the absolute value of negative 12? 12. Is this a negative number? No. The absolute value of negative 12 represents the opposite of negative 8. No. Now, is this the opposite of this? No. Because the absolute value of this is 12. The opposite of that would be negative 12. So the only answer choice that works to satisfy this one is A. Okay, so the video will only let me video in 15-minute increments. I'm at 12 and a half, so I'm going to stop right here. 1 through 4 is going to be its own, and then we'll see how far we can get on the next one. So that's it for this video. If you want to, you can go back, rewatch some of it, but we're going to start with question 5 on the next video.